Hey everyone, it's Leah McCulloch back here again, chatting and talking with you about how to be successful in business and don't do what I did. So we've talked a lot about this week about stress and burnout, and again, be encouraged. I'm going to get you to the hacks on how to treat your brain and stuff, but I'm really spending a lot of time on emotions this week because it's the emotional stuff, the foundational stuff that if you don't get this right, it can really, really take you down, and I don't want you being taken down. So I hope if you've been listening from the start, you think about a lot of the things I said. Now, my backstory, as you know, I had a particularly hard time. I had a dysfunctional marriage. I had a dysfunctional partner. I had a toxic partner, like business partner. I had a son with severe health problems. I had the pressure of working a job and also trying to work at home in order to quit my job and come home because my son crashed and burned and couldn't go to school. So really, really lots of stress, and plus I was working a job but working from home. It was all very complicated. So I became a master juggler. So the question is there a secret to learning to juggle all the things? And if you don't have kids, if you're past that point, you're just starting out, being an entrepreneur, you need to get used to juggling because again, you are everything until you get running, and so you can hire an accountant and hire all those other things you need to do. You are everything. Especially if you're a sole proprietor. I mean, sometimes you may already be someone who has, 5 employees and you're ready to expand, but you know well that it's all about juggling. So again, your situation right now may be better or worse than mine by degrees, but it's universal that women who work, it's hard juggling everything. Okay. So I talked the other day about the myth that we can have it all. We can have it all, but it's about the secret to juggling is, if you're juggling 25 things, you're going to drop something. So what do you want to drop? If you don't have your priorities right, you can lose your business. If you don't have your priorities right, you can lose your family. You can lose your marriage. You can hurt your kids. What's the most important thing? Family, always. But if you're not working, you can't support your family, right? So there's always that give and take. So I learned that don't bite off more than you can chew. For me, I was always like, well, if I'm doing this one thing, well, maybe I can do 2. If I'm doing this thing, why don't I duplicate it and I'll do it over here as well? Because when you're an entrepreneur, you're always hustling for the next gig. Unless you get this great 5-year contract, you are thinking, okay, well, this one ends, I need my next one, right? So you're always kind of hustling. So the biggest mistake I made was I bit off more than I could chew. In my effort to help myself, I hurt myself. And I think that if you're overcommitted, then like right now, like if you take a look at yourself, if you're feeling really tired, if you have no time for yourself, if you are sad, if you're feeling depressed, there's a reason for that. If you're wondering what you're doing wrong, there's a reason for that. So sit down and think about all the things that you've done, all the things that you need to do, all the things that you are obligated to do, and what you can change and what you can pull back on. I think the most important thing, and again, I just keep coming back to kids with this juggling thing. On the one hand, when the kids are young, it is the most impressionable and important part of their life. And also for you, it's the time when you have your biggest earning power, right? It's your time when you have the most energy. It's the time when you're just getting started, maybe. You're fresh out of your degree or whatever. And so there's that immediate conflict between, I spent tens of thousands of dollars to get this degree, I've got to go work, and yet I've got these beautiful children at home with me. And it's really important not to lose your skills that you work so hard to get with your degree. And it's equally important that you don't miss the most important part of your kids' lives. My daughter said to me when she was all grown up that she felt that she was a neglected child. And that really hurt. That really hurt because I worked so hard to make everything work. I worked so hard to work, to bring money in. I worked so hard to take care of my son. I worked so hard to make her feel loved, even though I had to spend so much time with my son. I worked to the point in helping everybody where I wasn't sleeping at all, and I would just get up and do it again the next day. So I failed in so many ways, even though I thought I was doing it all. If I could do it again, I wouldn't have done half of it. I would have insisted that other people step up where they weren't stepping up. I would have said, you know what? This is too much for me. I can't do this. And there's no shame in that. I would have worked half what I did. And I would have spent more time with my kids. And that was tough because we needed expensive treatment for my son. So it was always that need to earn more money thing. But I think that you can spend more emotional time with the child, and that will benefit long past what the therapists will do. So, what did I learn? Well, I got through it and I did my best. But again, if I had to do it again, I would be more patient. I would live with more heart, and I would live with, you know what? I made a note here and I can't read it. Hang on, just give me a sec here because I'm sure it's important. Oh, you know what? I know. I would have bought a smaller house. Guys, we're so materialistic. We're so materialistic. You can live with a smaller house while you raise your children. You can live with a crappier car, unless you're a realtor, in which case maybe you need a nice car, but you don't need the best of the best of the best. Your children need your best. Your children need your best. And you need to sleep. So I think this world of materialism that we live in, oh my gosh, you don't need a trip to Hawaii every year. You don't need the fancy things you think you need. You don't need the Prada purses. You don't need the 25 pairs of shoes. You really, really don't. But if you have babies, you need to take care of them. You need to love them. And there's nothing wrong with just living a little less and living in your heart rather than living in the material stuff. Okay. Now that may sound weird for someone who's a businessman and a business person, and it's all about making money, but it's not. It's about loving each other and giving back to each other, and it's about coming out the other end with no regrets, right? And if you miss your kids, you'll regret it. I promise you. Okay. God bless you. And like I said yesterday, I want to hear your stories. I want to hear what you're struggling with. I want to hear your dilemmas. I want to hear from you. Okay? God bless you, and we'll talk to you soon.